The EU aid package is seen as a sign of solidarity with the southern Europeans, and the calculation works. The anti-Germany mood in Italy has sunk, but Italy's rights are already targeting a new target. The Mercron-Plan seems to be successful. Italy's massive criticism of Germany, which has boiled up since the outbreak of the corona crisis, has calmed down in recent days. It even seems that Germany has lost its status as an arch-enemy to the right-wing parties in Italy. This crucial relaxation came thanks to the proposal of Angela Merkel and Emmanuel Macron to help the southern European countries with a massive aid package because of the consequences of the corona crisis. This proposal, which was recently presented by Commission President Ursula von der Leyen as a part of the EU reconstruction program, is nothing short of revolutionary. It envisages 500 billion euros in grant, and not in line with Merkel's former position, as loans for the countries that are in big difficulties at the moment. And there's also an additional 250 billion euros in loans. The main objective of this reconstruction plan is to revitalize the European economy. But the move is also a very important signal of solidarity within the European Union. It is intended to restore the confidence of the southern European countries in the EU, and at the same time to deprive right-wing parties of their anti-EU and anti-German rhetorics and sentiments. Because in the course of the corona crisis, shocking poll results have been repeatedly known from Italy. Only about half of the Italians were therefore pro-EU, and only a quarter of the Italians trusted Germany at all. And this negative attitude towards the EU and Germany was fueled by the right-wing parties in the Italian parliament, which, although they're not even part of the government, might be able to gather the majority of the votes according to recent surveys. And above all is Matteo Salvini's Lega, but also the right-wing party Fratelli d'Italia and Forza Italia, the party of former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi. And a look at the communications of these three parties since the announcement 1.5 weeks ago just shows the nationalists are, at least for the time being, running out of arguments against the EU. Because their main point of criticism was the lack of solidarity from Berlin and Brussels in this crisis, and this crisis hit Italy without their own fault particularly hard. Another popular argument among right-wingers is the argument that Forza Italia chair Giorgia Meloni makes every effort to publish. From her view, Germany even wants to profit from the precarious state of the Italian economy by allowing Italian companies to be bought out cheaply. But since the Merkel-Macron announcement, tough attacks by the right-wing parties against this aid package have largely failed to materialize. Salvini and Meloni half-heartedly criticized the superiority of the two large contributors and Italy's role as an extra. Salvini, for example, said immediately after presenting of the plan, "Today, as usual, Merkel and Macron held a press conference alone. It's difficult to say whether the EU still exists or France and Germany decide alone." The following day, Salvini took advantage of another strategy that his party used more and more, and particularly with financial issues, and it goes like this. Another party member proposes a thesis with little or no truth content. Salvini then refers to that thesis in interviews and on Facebook as if it was general fact. That, of course, is typical nationalist populism that we can see all over Europe at the moment. And I mean Europe, not the EU, all of Europe. But back to this case. In this case, both Lega economic experts, Claudio Borghi and Alberto Bagnai, claimed that the funds from the aid fund were not grants, but only loans that had to be paid back. And their conclusion then was, Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte lets Merkel and Macron fool him, and Berlin and Brussels still don't want to help Italy. And funny as it is, as their source, Borghi and Bagnai cited an English press release about the plan, which they intentionally or unintentionally misinterpreted. Because at the heart of the plan is precisely that of the 172.7 billion euros Italy is to receive, 81.8 billion euros will be paid out as grants that do not have to be reimbursed. 90.9 billion euros will be made available as loans. So after Salvini criticized the new funds with all old arguments and old stories, he's always bringing old stories like there will not be a single lira that does not have to be paid back, although there's no lira anymore and everything has to be paid in euros, he now quickly dropped this actually highly relevant topic and turned his focus to another content, potentially more on the approval of his voters. And like in many other countries around Europe, the most important and well-tried is migration. At the same time, Italy's right-wing parties are working on repositioning themselves in this corona crisis and starting where they were at the end of February, united in the fight for early elections. According to recent surveys, if they succeed, they could form a government under the leadership of Salvini. So instead of lingering with the EU aid plan, the party leaders are promoting a joint demonstration scheduled for June 2nd, the Italian national holiday. With the tricolore, they want to be present at the corona-safe, distant piazzas of important Italian cities. According to Meloni, the parties want to express the displeasure of the Italian people. The resentment can no longer be directed at the EU. However, if the parties want to remain credible, the leaders of these parties must know that if the Franco-German initiative is implemented, nothing will be the same as before. A nationalist campaign against the EU, while it is transferring money from one country to another for the first time and breaking a real taboo, would be difficult for public opinion to understand. At the same time, the EU and the Italian pro-European parties must be aware that the Merkel-Macron announcement alone will hardly be able to change the EU critical stance of many Italians. If these promises are not quickly followed by actions and noticeable improvement on people's everyday lives, the right-wing parties in Italy will quickly turn back on their old course and go with their anti-EU propaganda to the elections, and then most probably with success. And if you now want to know more about European politics from a German point of view, I put my next video in the end screen. Click and enjoy. I'll see you there. Viel Spaß!